going on, everybody? It's your favorite dating coach, Elliot Scott, and as you can see by the title below, we're going to talk about red flags. What are they, and what's my definition of them, okay? Now, you haven't seen this in a while, so I'm making one of these kind of videos, because I know I'm fine as fuck. I know you want to see this. I'm alright, I'm average, I guess. But look, oh, shit. I know you want to see this video, though, right? I know you all be bitching about me making any type of other video about my face, so I'm gonna take it that I'm all right looking. I'm decent to look at, okay? So jumping right into this, the two reasons I wanted to make a video on this subject was, one, I don't think a lot of people understand what a red flag truly is. A lot of people just think it's, if I do this, it's a red flag. That's not what it is. Which kind of leads me on to the second thing, and it's my fault a little bit. A lot of people think I'm justifying a man's actions by saying, well, it's not the man, it's you. You're doing the red flag. That's why he's doing that. No. Listen, girl. I know there are a lot of assholes out there. I know. Believe me, I know there's a lot of assholes out there. If there wasn't, I wouldn't be making that money. So there are assholes out there. It's not just women making mistakes. There's a lot. Hey, I had a client today who did everything right. The guy was just a fucking asshole. It happens. And I told her that. I said, you didn't do anything wrong. The guy is just a low-ego man. He's a piece of shit. He's an asshole. It happens, okay? So here's the thing. Actually, I want to start off on a good note with this, because I think a lot of women are going to agree with me on this. There's nothing wrong. Actually, I might surprise a lot of you. There's nothing wrong with a woman being emotional. And I mean that in a good term, not the negative term that society gives it. But there's nothing wrong with a woman caring, nurturing, being a woman, opening up, being vulnerable. To an extent, of course. There's nothing wrong with a woman being emotional. In fact, I understand why a woman's that way, because if you look at the both sexes and what they have to give or sacrifice to be in a relationship or to have something, anything meaningful, the guy's losing or the girl's losing a lot more out of it. If it doesn't work out for some reason, society slut shames her, right? Or if she gives it up too early, society slut shames her, which really sucks, and it's a double standard. I totally agree. At the same time, I know if, again, something happens and you get pregnant, guess what? The guy's not technically tied down to anything. Now, if he doesn't help, he's a piece of shit. But if he doesn't, what I'm trying to say is he's not tied down by anything. Maybe a couple laws, but even then, they're really loose and they're really BS, and the guy can go do what he wants. While you, let's say everything works out in your favor, you're still committed or invested 9 months with his seed growing in your belly, okay? So I understand the investment that women need and that women want in a relationship. Like, the guy should have to show something. Again, I totally understand why you're coming off the way you're coming off, okay? Which isn't even bad. But here's the definition of a red flag for me. This is what makes a difference. While none of that stuff is really wrong, it depends on where it's coming from, okay? I always tell women, here's a good reminder on if you're showing a red flag or not. I tell a lot of my clients, it's not if it's coming from a want versus coming from a need. If you're coming from a want, I think you're okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting a guy. There's nothing wrong with letting a guy know that you want him. But it's when you come off, I need you. Again, you might not be thinking that, but it's how you're coming off. If you're coming off, I need you, that's a whole different story. You should always let a guy know, I want you, but boy, I do not need you, okay? And when it starts coming from a need, and usually needs come from insecurities. So if the action you're doing, whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with texting a guy, saying this, saying that, wanting to hear from him because you're interested in him. However, if you're reaching out to a guy because you need validation, or you need to hear from him, or you feel better when you hear from him, or you're afraid that he's pulling away and you're freaking out, well, what do I do, I'm gonna start texting him, that comes from an insecurity, okay? And an insecurity magnifies the action you're doing, and that's where it becomes a red flag. Red flags come from insecurities, and they come from a feeling of need, not want. Again, there's nothing wrong with reaching out. I make it sound like it's bad, but again, I do that because of the context we're having in this in my videos. A lot of women do show the red flags, and again, there's assholes out there. I totally understand. There's nothing you can do about it, which really sucks. But I do know, I do realize on my phone sessions and my email, sessions, stuff like that, that women are coming from a place of need. They even tell me themselves, I'm coming, I need to hear, I need this, I need that, and that's where it becomes an insecurity. When if you're, wanting to hear from them is great, wanting to show your affection is great, but when it just comes off differently. I can't explain it. It just comes off differently when it comes from a place of need. It just magnifies, if that makes sense. I don't know, I think it's more subconscious. Like, you just, like, something just triggers and the guy can tell. It's those little micro expressions, those micro things you do where it's like, okay, again, when you're texting a guy, a girl coming from a want might text back and forth. There might be a little more space between the texts. It might not be, her wording might be different. It's these little things that make it's not the actual texting itself. It's the things between it. It's, when a girl comes from a need, she's wanting to have long texts back and forth all day, every day. The words she says, that line she uses, how fast she responds to it. She always apologizes by not getting back to it in time. All those kind of things. That becomes a red flag, because it's like, damn, holy shit. But when you're coming from a place of want, it's just real casual. It flows. You're feeling it. You're writing them out, or you're just feeling it out. You're writing them. There's a little more space between it. There's a little more, a little less, time, or a little less, I guess, the amount you write, like all these different type of things. Okay, so you can tell the difference between the two, between a need or a want and a need, because the need has those little extra things that just throw it over the edge, but those little things make the biggest difference. Okay, so that being said, a red flag, I could have just said this in a sentence, but I mean, it wouldn't be a video then. A red flag is where the thing you're doing is coming from a need, not a want, and it's coming from an insecurity. Again, the things you're doing are fine, but when it comes from the wrong place, it just magnifies. It's, you start doing things differently. Even you might see it as, I'm just texting him, but when it comes from a different area, it magnifies. You just do these extra little things that make all the difference, and that's what freaks guys out. But again, I know there's a lot of women out there who are doing the right thing. Guys are just assholes. So with that being said, I love you. Take care, and peace.